You've probably seen the original Mortal Kombat thousands of times, but there are some insane Easter eggs that even hardcore fans have missed after 30 years. Let's talk about Mortal Kombat 95's hidden details, lore connections, and crazy Easter eggs that will change the way you see Liu Kang as a fighter. First, let's talk about some of the hidden details in the film. When Liu Kang wakes up, his room is notably covered in green light, symbolizing the start of his journey as his character arc represents growth, a quality that is associated with the color green. On the wall, we see a bicycle, which could allude to one of his signature moves, the bicycle kick, and we also see some white sneakers near the wall, which may be a nod to the white shoes that Liu Kang wore in the first game. Another fun fact for this film is that the fight choreographer was Pat Johnson, who some of you know not only played himself as a referee in The Karate Kid and also choreographed the first 4 films, but was also the fight coordinator for the original 3 Ninja Turtle films as well. In his introductory scene, Johnny Cage pulls a sweep out of his repertoire from his Mortal Kombat 2 incarnation and yells at the director shortly thereafter, who is meant to be a parody of Steven Spielberg. As the combatants get ready to board the ship to the island in Chai Wan Bay, we are introduced to Art Lean, portrayed by real-life martial artist Master Kenneth Edwards, who teaches Northern Eagle Claw Kung Fu to this day. One of the quips among several other in the films, "Thank God I didn't ask him to park the car," was ad-libbed by Lyndon Ashby. When Sonya, Liu Kang, and Johnny Cage meet Shang Tsung for the first time, the sorcerer introduces Sub-Zero and Scorpion and references their rivalry very briefly, as the two have a storied rivalry dating back to the events before the Mortal Kombat mainline games. We get some more special moves from the game as the two ninjas demonstrate their freezing powers and spear respectively, until Raiden also demonstrates his own power by using his lightning blast to put an end to the fight. As the Thunder God appears, his attire is reminiscent of his costume in the first game. Raiden and Shang Tsung discuss a key element of the tournament's lore that's also mentioned in storyline, no fighting before the tournament. Earthrealm's protector demonstrates his other special ability, teleporting, as he makes his way up to the ship's deck. One interesting fact to note between Johnny Cage and Sonya is that Sonya is usually associated with the color green, while one of Johnny's colors is black, as the two are wearing each other's color schemes. As Raiden talks about the history of the Mortal Kombat tournament, he also talks about the rules, mentions Shao Kahn in passing as the Emperor, and the victories that Outworld has accumulated. As Shang Tsung is seen on the ship, we see skulls flying around, which could be a nod to his projectile powers from Mortal Kombat 1 through 3, and a brief vision of Shao Kahn. On the boat and all over the island, we see the Shadow Priests making their appearance from the Mortal Kombat 2 game. Kitana also makes her debut, as she also first appeared in the second game, though this time unmasked as seen in her fatalities, Mortal Kombat 2 endings, and the Mortal Kombat 2 commercial. The feast scene is a near exact parallel of the feast scene in Enter the Dragon, which is ironic as the film inspired many elements of the first Mortal Kombat game, along with Big Trouble in Little China. One key parallel is Kitana and Liu Kang's exchange of glances, just as Li and Mei Ling do, who also, like Liu Kang and Kitana, work together to overthrow the island's owner. Right after Shang Tsung states, "And now, a taste of things to come," we hear the same gong sample that is heard when the character select screen pops up in Mortal Kombat 2. No introduction is needed for Sub-Zero's legendary freeze move, as it properly earns him a flawless victory as he took no damage. This could also be a reference to the younger brother Sub-Zero's snowball grenade fatality in Mortal Kombat 2. However, given his opponent's state, it should have also earned him a fatality. Goro is voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson, who also voices Cleveland Brown Jr. and has voiced Shredder in the 2012 TMNT show and its games, certainly an iconic voice actor. As Liu Kang tries to follow Kitana, Reptile demonstrates both his invisibility and acid spit when he catches Liu Kang off guard. During the fight with the guards, Sonya pulls off her sweep move from the game, Johnny pulls off his roundhouse, and Liu Kang's cartwheel kick could be a reference to his fatality from Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. The day the tournament starts, we're taken to a makeshift arena that would be the closest depiction of the courtyard from the first game. Liu Kang's opponent, the Fighting Monk, is portrayed by martial artist Hakeem Alston, a 4th degree Taekwondo black belt and a member of the USA karate team from 1984 to 1990. Hakeem was also in the show WMAC Masters, which aired a month after this film's release, and played a character called The Machine. Ho Sung Pak, who played Superstar, was also on the show and did the motion capture for Liu Kang in the first 2 games, and Chris Casamassa, who played Scorpion in this film, was also on the show as Red Dragon. Liu Kang's attire in this fight possibly inspired his attire in Mortal Kombat 4. Kang also uses the same kick from his fatality again and springs up after the final kick like his character does in the games. Shang Tsung demonstrates his Soul Taker fatality on the monk after the fight ends. Sonya's attire in her fight with Kano is likely the inspiration for some of her future costumes later on in the franchise. The movie's costumes would also make an appearance as DLC in Mortal Kombat 11, as Bridget Wilson Sampras, Christopher Lambert, and Lyndon Ashby would lend their voice and likeness to the game. Kano's knife is a reference to his knife throw and blade swipe abilities from the games, but this is followed by Sonya's uppercut as she downs him, a nod to the neutral move being one of the strongest in the game. Sonya also pulls out her roundhouse and attempts a knee strike, but this is blocked as the move is one of her close-range kick moves in the first game. Sonya turns the tide with her leg grab special move and uses it as her finishing move as Shang Tsung quotes the famous saying from the game. Forest could be a nod to the living forest in Mortal Kombat 2, though it may be just a coincidence because the island itself is not an Outworld but between Outworld and Earth Realm. Ed Boon, one of the co-creators of Mortal Kombat, reprises his role as Scorpion's voice as he shouts, "Get over here!" and "Come here!" While not completely canon, the spear being a living creature does make sense as Scorpion is a hell-spawned specter. As Johnny chases Scorpion, he performs his signature shadow kick, but is teleported to most likely the Netherrealm, which debuted in Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, released 3 months after this film. Scorpion pulls off his hook punch, a close-range attack from Mortal Kombat 2, and tries to follow up with a roundhouse, also pulling out his throw from the games and his spring-up animation. Scorpion reveals his true form as he unmasks himself, a nod to his classic fatality as he attempts to perform this on Johnny. However, Cage gets the upper hand and leaves behind an autograph, a nod to his friendship from MK2. Sub-Zero attempts to throw Liu Kang with a signature throw from the games. Kang counters this and uses it against him. The legendary guitarist Buckethead plays guitar for the musical track in the fight known as Goro vs. Art. Johnny Cage coaches Art to attack in and out, which is a very viable strategy in defeating Goro in the original game, as almost any close-range attacks are futile because of his ability to grab you. We see this demonstrated as Goro grabs Art and beats him, though slower and deliberate compared to the video game. Prior to this, Art manages to pull off a flying kick making Goro stumble, another smart strategy as a flying kick can knock down Goro. One of Goro's back fists is similar to his uppercut in the game as it does knock away Art. Because of the beating, Art ends up dizzy, similar to the opponents at the end of a fight in-game. Shang Tsung calls Goro's victory flawless, though it isn't accurate because Art actually lands a hit. In the original script, following Art's soul being taken by Shang Tsung, Liu Kang, Sonya, and Johnny bury Art underneath a statue of the great Kung Lao. Goro's next fight with Johnny Cage is memorable for this reason. Johnny pulls off his signature split punch on Goro, giving him a huge advantage. Now in the original game, you can technically land the punch, but you may get damage for your troubles, making it not worth it. However, in Mugen fan games and later games, you could pull off this move on bosses. The famous $500 sunglasses comment was also ad-libbed by Lyndon Ashby and is probably one of the most iconic quotes from the Mortal Kombat franchise as a whole. As Liu Kang and Cage arrive, the Wastelands indeed look like their Mortal Kombat 2 counterpart. Right after Reptile merges with a statue, we hear a soundbite from Mortal Kombat 2 of Shao Kahn saying "Reptile" right as he springs into action. During the fight, Reptile pulls knee strikes from his close-range repertoire as seen in Mortal Kombat 2. One of my favorite moments of the film occurs. Liu Kang uses a bicycle kick on Reptile to finish the fight. This is very appropriate as the move debuted in Mortal Kombat 2 and it lines up with the film's current setting in Outworld. As Liu Kang performs the final stomp on Reptile, the music cue that plays is similar to future jingles we would hear throughout the franchise during fatalities. Before the final fight, Liu Kang performs his win pose from the video games. Shang Tsung uses a lot of spinning elbows, a nod to his close-range elbow attack from Mortal Kombat 2 and 3, and uses his other close-range move, the knee, which ironically barely causes Liu Kang to flinch. Liu Kang finishes the fight with an uppercut, demonstrating the strongest neutral move in the game. Liu Kang starts fighting Shang Tsung's warriors, one of them portrayed by Gerald Okamura, martial artist and stuntman known for other films such as Big Trouble in Little China, Samurai Cop, and Showdown in Little Tokyo. Gerald has studied Kendo, Aikido, Taekwondo, and Kung Fu Sanso. One of the other warriors wears a samurai helmet similar to that of Shao Kahn's, a nice nod to the Emperor of Outworld. Liu Kang manages to pull out his roundhouse from the first game, and as he catches up to Shang, the sorcerer demonstrates his morph ability again. The spikes rising from the floor is a nice reference to the infamous pit stage from the first game, and as Liu Kang corners Shang Tsung, the souls that are escaping are telling Liu Kang to finish him. The final attack to Shang is Liu Kang's signature fireball technique, knocking him into the spikes as Kang mocks Shang Tsung by saying, "Flawless victory." Let's also talk about some of the lore connections the movie made to the game's franchise. The opening and main musical theme that is now associated with the franchise as a whole is called Techno Syndrome. The iconic Mortal Kombat yell is from the Mortal Monday Mortal Kombat commercial, which was made to promote the home release of the original Mortal Kombat game in 1993. A year later in 1994, Mortal Kombat the album was released by Belgian techno duo The Immortals, which featured new original music sampling voices and sound effects from the game, featuring theme songs for each character outside of Shang Tsung and Reptile, and of course, the iconic Techno Syndrome. This song would go on to be used as the main theme for the first two movies and also remixed for Mortal Kombat 2021. The opening scene depicts Liu Kang's nightmare of Shang Tsung fighting his brother Chan. Though the movie is mostly a retelling of the original Mortal Kombat's events, there are some differences here. Instead of his elderly appearance, Shang Tsung is younger, similar to his Mortal Kombat 2 appearance, and in the original game's storyline, Chan's name was Chao and rumored to be missing before the tournament. Sonya's introductory scene with her partner Jax is canon with their in-game backstory of working as special forces. Similar to the game's story, she is tracking down Kano, who has allied himself with Shang Tsung. A fun fact, Trevor Goddard's portrayal of Kano retconned his character to be Australian, and Kano sometimes mirrors Trevor's features, including the black hair and beard, starting with Mortal Kombat Special Forces. Rest in peace. When Master Boyd visits Johnny, the tournament is mentioned for the first time, and Master Boyd is revealed to be Shang Tsung, showing off one of the first special moves from the original game, morphing into other people. Liu Kang's backstory is also pretty accurate to the game. He returns home in the next scene to the Temple of Light in China, mirroring his game counterpart's backstory. As a Shaolin monk, Liu Kang was a member of the Order of Light, which the organization and Thunder God Raiden formed the White Lotus Society right after Goro had defeated the Great Kung Lao. The society's purpose was to pick the best champions of Earthrealm and teach them how to defend Earthrealm from the threats of other worlds, according to the lore. Speaking of Raiden, he makes his introduction in the scene, mirroring his stance and displaying part of his powers as mirrored in the first game. Similar to Trevor Goddard, Christopher Lambert's portrayal retconned Raiden's appearance starting in Deadly Alliance, as the character would have long white hair from then on out, as it was initially written for his character to have long black hair, though rarely displayed. The attire that Kano wears in the shipboarding scene and the previous scene he was in is similar to what Jarek wears in Mortal Kombat 4, who was a clone-like replacement gameplay-wise for Kano, as he was presumed to be dead after the events of Mortal Kombat 3, including the updates Ultimate and MK Trilogy, until his death was retconned in Deadly Alliance. Similar to the events before the game, Sonya follows Kano onto the boat and chases him to Shang Tsung's island. Once the combatants arrive on the island, Sonya's radio does not work and the compass is constantly spinning. This is another lore-accurate detail, as Shang Tsung's island is located between the realms of both Earthrealm and Outworld on the Lost Sea, which would explain why later on Outworld is easily reached. When Liu Kang sees Kitana for the first time, her royalty is briefly mentioned by Shang Tsung, as we're also introduced to Reptile, a nod to his status as a secret character in the first game and also his true form. During the feast scene, Prince Goro is mentioned for the first time, similarly to the game's introduction of the reigning champion, also making his royalty title known. Following the feast, Goro elaborates on Shang Tsung's powers, specifically how he can take people's souls and they become his slaves, referencing Shang Tsung's ability to absorb souls and use the abilities of the fighters. However, Shokan is mentioned as a realm and not a race, though later on the realm where the Shokan reside was retconned to Kuatan. Kano also makes a passing reference to the Black Dragon organization and how he's the boss of it back home. Shang Tsung warns Goro of the descendant of the Great Kung Lao, alluding to the Shaolin monk who lost to Goro but previously defeated Shang Tsung in the game's canon. Shang also warns of the Emperor's daughter, making note of her rightful heir to Edenia, though now known as Outworld, citing the Mortal Kombat 2 storyline. After the Chosen Three fight Shang Tsung's guards, Raiden discusses the sorcerer's past, as he was a former champion who was upset by the Great Kung Lao. Goro's off-screen winning streak, as mentioned in the original game's intro, is demonstrated in a montage as he beats his opponents. As he makes his entrance before his fight with Art, he poses and roars, similar to the game's intro as well. Though not part of the original lore, similar to what occurred in this movie with Trevor Goddard and Christopher Lambert, Johnny Cage and Goro's rivalry is mentioned in later games, specifically in Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. In the intro, Johnny Cage is beaten and thrown by Goro, but Cage later gets his revenge by performing his SNES exclusive fatality, the Forceful Shadow Kick, on Goro. Sonya's capture alludes to the first two games. While pursuing Kano to Shang Tsung's island, Sonya and her unit were captured, and Blade agreed to participate in the tournament in exchange for her unit's release in safety, which Shang Tsung did not hold up his part of the deal and had her unit killed. In Mortal Kombat 2, after Shang Tsung's defeat, Sonya disappears during the chaos and is captured and held prisoner by Shao Kahn. Raiden mentions the Wastelands of Outworld, a stage in the second game, and how he cannot follow, which is also lore accurate. In order to help with the tournament in the second game, Raiden gave up his godhood to help Earthrealm's fighters. Reptile also follows them into Outworld, a reference to his appearance in the second game and how he survived the events of the first game. Following the fight with Reptile, Kitana meets up with Johnny and Liu Kang and talks more about the events prior to the film. She talks about King Jared and Edenia being merged with Outworld, alluding to the lore from Mortal Kombat 2 and Mortal Kombat 3. Before the next scene, we get another pan up the Black Tower, similar to Mortal Kombat 2's arcade ladder animation. As seen in the Khan's Arena stage in Mortal Kombat 2, Sonya is being held prisoner. When Shang Tsung explodes into light after being defeated by Liu Kang, this references the ending of the Mortal Kombat games. The first game has Shang Tsung releasing all the souls as multiple lights flash, Mortal Kombat 2 has Shao Kahn exploding as he shakes and it cycles through the stages, and in Mortal Kombat 3, Shao Kahn is engulfed in a green light and then explodes. During the ending scene, the two couples, Liu Kang and Kitana, and Sonya and Johnny, are somewhat nods to the game. Mortal Kombat 3 was the first hint between Liu and Kitana, becoming canon in Mortal Kombat 4 and onward even in the next timeline, while Johnny and Sonya get together in the rebooted timeline. Shao Kahn makes his appearance as he quotes Mortal Kombat 2 by saying, "Bow to me, and you weak pathetic fools," as the film ends. Finally, let's talk about some of the craziest Easter eggs in the film. Believe it or not, Johnny Cage uses Scorpion's own moves against him to defeat him. He launches a spear at Scorpion which lands, and uses a nearby shield to slice Scorpion in a similar manner to the ninja's fatality from Mortal Kombat 2. Another crazy fight ending Easter egg is that when Liu Kang throws the water into Sub-Zero's freezing aura, he defeats his opponent with the double ice backfire. In the original game, if you froze your opponent as Sub-Zero and attempted to freeze them again, Sub-Zero would become frozen while the opponent would unfreeze. During Liu Kang's fight with Reptile, one of the windows is pulled directly from the tower stage for Mortal Kombat 2. Shout out to Mortal Kombat Minute podcast for pointing this one out. One cool detail about this same fight is that Liu Kang uses strategies from his friends against Reptile. He uses an object to spin around and kick Reptile just like Johnny Cage did to Scorpion, though how Liu Kang would have known this happened is unknown as the fight happened in private, though it's likely Johnny told Liu Kang what happened, and he also uses a leg grab to toss Reptile just like Sonya used a leg grab on Kano. I haven't seen the film in a while, but when I rewatched it for Easter eggs and analyzed the film, the movie is more accurate to the games than I remember. It's a shame that it didn't have gore due to New Line wanting to market the movie to teenagers, but it's easily one of the most accurate video game movies of the 90s and easily the best one in that era. Thankfully today, video game movies are much more enjoyable compared to 30 years ago and also accurate to what we saw in the late 90s and 2000s, and here's hoping that Mortal Kombat 2 surpasses its sequel. Check out my previous analysis of Mortal Kombat 95 and Mortal Kombat 2021.